So when a lot of people ask me what my favorite video game of all time is, there are two that come to mind. Rockstar's Bully and Resident Evil 4. They're both tied for number one. I can't decide which one I like more. But this video is about Resident Evil 4. Hi, welcome to the first episode of Nostalgia Talks, the show that I announced about 7-8 months ago and never made a video for, but finally getting around to it. And this whole series is just going to be me telling my personal story about certain topics or video games, movies, whatever it might be that takes me back to a really good time in my life. So, I've said it many times on my channel. When I was a kid, I was terrified to be involved with anything even remotely scary. I wouldn't watch a horror movie, scary games, watch a scary TV show, anything that could possibly be scary, I wanted nothing to do with. Hell, I wouldn't even walk through the dark by myself in my own house. That's how pathetic I was. However, when I was about 10 years old, I was staying at a friend's house, and I'll never forget it, and I have not spoken to this guy in over 10 years, and I hope to reconnect with him one day. But we used to stay up all night playing video games. We would play a lot of Mario Kart Double Dash and Die Hard Vendetta, of all games, if anybody even knows what that is. But one night, he specifically says, hey, I'm going to play Resident Evil 4. I had heard of Resident Evil, and I knew it was a horror game. That was all I knew. Me being skeptical, I was like, I don't know about that. I don't want it to be creepy. And they told me, it's like, no, it's not scary at all. I promise you. And tell you what, we'll play it for a little bit. He was a few years older than me. So we'll play it for a little bit. If it freaks you out, then we'll just turn it off, play something else. So he boots up the game, and he's right at the first El Gigante fight. And I'm automatically just hooked. It looks like a really badass over-the-shoulder action game where you're fighting a giant. None of it looks scary at all. I'm just immediately just glued to the screen like, okay, you got my attention. I end up falling asleep, actually. And I wake up about 2 hours later, and he went from the El Gigante, the old village scene, to the opening level of the castle when you meet Salazar. And he looks at me, he's like, oh shit, did you have nightmares or anything? I'm like, no, this game's awesome, let's keep playing. So then my childhood obsession starts. I wanted this game so bad. I mean, PS3 was way out by this point, but I still had my PS2, and I really wanted to play Resident Evil 4. Finally, one day, I'll never forget it, my grandfather took me to a GameStop, and they had a used copy for about $5, and he bought it for me. I go home, and I'm calling up another friend from school that I also shared this love of Resident Evil with at this point. I'm like, hey man, I just got Resident Evil 4. I'm so excited. I can't wait to finally play it for myself. I've been watching this guy play it. I was watching countless YouTube videos about it. Like, Resident Evil 4 music videos, they would all use the same clips, but it would always be either Bring Me to Life or any Skillet song ever. Or, I think Let the Bodies Hit the Floor was on there once. Good times. There was even another video that, to this day, I still go back to, and there's actually two parts to it. It's the Resident Evil Numa Numa. Everybody knows that My-Ya-Hee song that came around and fucking took over YouTube a long time ago. There's a, I don't know if it's a Flash animation or like an MS Paint animation with that song with all the Resident Evil characters. Why? But that just shows, like, from Resident Evil 4, just playing it alone, just every time, I play through the game about once a year at least, always takes me back to being in 5th grade, playing it for the first time, watching people play it for the first time. And then also constantly just going through YouTube, looking for new animations that people make, parodies, YouTube poops, because those existed back then. Just anything. There was another friend I went to school with. He had played Resident Evil a lot. He had beat professional mode, which I still have not done to this day. I've been playing Resident Evil for about 14 years now, and I've never beat professional mode. But he was coming over to my house one night. I was like, hey man, like, you know, I just got Resident Evil. I've been playing the hell out of it. Come over. He's like, wait, I've unlocked the PRL 412 laser. Let me bring my memory card. We'll play on mine. What? So he shows up, and we were at the castle level where all the catapults are. And I know if you play the game, you know exactly where I'm talking about. But that was where his last save was. But he's sitting there in Special Suit 1 with this giant laser cannon. This is the PS2 version, so it didn't like spread like it does everywhere else. It just shot straight. But still, just knowing this was in the game and I had to find it, and he had the hand cannon. How did he get the hand cannon? I still can't get the hand cannon. I had a lot of trouble beating the game though, because I wasn't really good at saving ammo, but one day I lucked out, and I've kind of cheated the first time I beat the game. My dad used to have these band practices at our house, and they were all gamers. And one of his bandmates left a memory card in my house, and I didn't realize that, but I just seen a PS2 memory card sitting on our table. I said, oh, I left it in here. Then I go hook it into my PlayStation, but I see both of mine are still in it. So I was like, let me see what's on here. And there were several Resident Evil saves, a couple Metal Gear saves, which I was way more into Metal Gear 3 than this person was. But the Resident Evil 4 save had completed game with the Chicago typewriter, infinite rocket launcher, and both special suits. Okay, we got infinite ammo now. So I did what any 10-year-old would have done in that situation. I copied his data onto my memory card, put the card back where I found it. Now I've got some of the best guns in the game, and I'm starting from the beginning. So I kind of just rushed through everything, but that was the first time I ever beat Resident Evil 4, I should say, Resident Evil 4. But every time I think back to these days, like, the only times I've ever actually beat the game the right way without these upgraded guns is when I bought it on PS4. Now, I have Resident Evil on just about every console I have. 2, 3, 4, VR, which I'll get into that in a second. I keep talking myself out of buying it on the Switch, but I know I'm going to. And the remake's coming out, I think next year is what they said. I think my last story I'm going to tell for this, though, happened this past Christmas. My parents were asking me what I wanted for Christmas, and I could not think of anything. Like, you don't have to get me anything. But then I see a trailer for Resident Evil 4 VR. Naturally, I immediately go to the internet, look it up, I'm like, this is what I want. And I wanted it just for Resident Evil. So, now I have an Oculus Quest 2. And that was the first thing I bought, was Resident Evil. Not the first thing I played, but the first thing I bought. And played through the game twice now. I've been working on professional mode. Just something about Resident Evil. Alright, so as the save game theme comes through, I'm going to go ahead and end this video, but I'm going to go ahead and say thank you all for watching. And this is hopefully going to be an ongoing series. It's not necessarily all going to be about video games, but almost all of them will have video games involved in it somewhere. So, thank you all for watching. It's been real. And as always, rock on.